All right, this week we are going to tackle some clay decor, specifically this vase I keep seeing everywhere. Whew, and was it a challenge? Hey, I'm Janelle and this is toDIYfor. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Really happy that you stumbled upon me, and I really hope that you subscribe so you come back every week. You know, I do things that are very budget friendly, that are pretty beginner friendly, because I myself half the time am learning as I go, and I just love sharing my creations with you. So if you love them, please share them with your friends, help me grow this channel, and yeah, don't forget to subscribe yourself. So this vase I've been seeing almost like everywhere. I love the way it looks, and I have no idea why I tried to make this myself. Like, pretty challenging project considering I do not know anything about clay, but it seems to be really hot right now, clay decor in particular. So I thought that I would try my hand at making my own, so let's get into it. So of course, first you're going to need to start with your clay. I ordered this off of Amazon. I'll leave it linked down below for you, but I am working with air dry clay. I also taped a piece of saran wrap to my working surface. That made it so much easier to peel this off after we started rolling it. So you're going to want to warm up your piece of clay a little bit and then get to rolling. You can use a wine bottle to roll it out if you don't have a rolling pin like I do, and just try and get a nice even consistency. So I grabbed a bowl and then I laid this over top to create my form for the bowl. Now, I should have put some more saran wrap down over top of this bowl first, but I don't know if this is the best technique. It is what I did because obviously there's extra bulk there, so I cut it out on 4 places on this bowl, and I tried to mend those pieces together as best as I could. And then you cut off the excess, and an X-Acto knife works really great for cutting through clay. So what did end up happening is I had to peel this off the bowl, and then I got the saran wrap underneath there, so those mends didn't work that well. I also punched in a few holes here while the clay was still wet, and I just did that with a skewer, or you could do it with a toothpick or something. And now we have holes for the design that we're going to do with the raffia at the end. So I allowed that to dry overnight, and I will be honest, there are a few cracks in this bowl, and that might be due to the fact of my technique. It might be because I had to peel it off of the bowl. I'm not really sure, but I was able to make it work. So I just gave this a quick coat of paint with some acrylic paint, and now I'm taking my raffia here and I'm stringing it through these holes. So this kind of gives a bit of a stitched effect. Basically, the raffia is kind of wrapping around the top of the bowl. I'm always going in the holes from the outside of the bowl, and this is kind of the effect that it had at the end. I just tied it in a knot when I got all the way around the bowl, and I really like the way that looks. For our next project, this is the vase. Again, rolling out some more clay, and what I have here is a foam wreath form. So this is a perfect shape for this, and it's also going to cut down on the material. It would take a ton of clay to make this thing solid, and it would actually be pretty expensive. So I wanted to kind of have something else as a filler, and I thought that this would be perfect. Basically, I used 2 large pieces and I wrapped them around like you saw, and I tried to mend everything together as best as I could, take some water, try and smooth it out, and then I did add a little hole there in the top, and that's just for any piece of dry grass that you might want to put in there. It gives it a solid base for it to stick into. So on the bottom, I mounted this piece of pretty thick clay. I just cut out a large rectangle and again mended it to the bottom of this. This is going to allow it to have a flat piece so that it can stand up straight on its own. Push it down and make sure that it can stand up on its own. Now for the top piece of the vase, I have a fairly thick piece of clay here. I've scored it on each side, so then I add those 2 pieces together, and I basically just tried to make this tube. So the thicker the better. I did it too thin the first time I did it, and it doesn't really stand up on its own unless it has a good thickness to it. So I scored the bottom of that, added a little bit of water, and then this is kind of how I attached it to the main piece, with just a few pieces of clay here, like a thin strip in that crevice, and molding it together as best I can, again working with the water and trying to get it as smooth as possible. Okay, so I'll be honest, there were quite a few cracks when I was done this project. And I filled a few of them with some polyfill. I just didn't have that on camera, but this was a little bit rougher than I thought that it might look. So what I did was I used the paint with the baking soda technique. Now this is something that people use on glass vases to kind of give them a clay look. And the reason I went with this paint is because it's a texturized paint, and I think it helped cover up a lot of those faults. As you can see, this isn't perfectly smooth. It kind of has a bit of an organic look, and I really do like it, and it helped fill any of those extra cracks that were still kind of coming through. I really love the way that this bowl looks as well. I think it has a nice added touch, a different texture with the raffia on the top of it. But let me know what you thought and how I did on these projects and which one's your favorite down in the comments below. Please don't forget to subscribe. I'll be back next week with a new DIY. Cheers.